Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm James Currie with the Communication Department. I'm talking to MCHD Safety Officer Daniel Stombaugh. Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing great, James. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, thanks for being on Wellness Wednesday. You've been on many times with my old Wellness Wednesday boss, Virginia Inge. She's a hard act to follow. But anyway, we're talking about gratitude and being grateful during a pandemic. I know you and I have talked about it separately off camera, and we thought this would be a very good topic to kind of help a lot of people during this time. So, what does gratitude during a pandemic mean to you?
Man, there's so many things. I think that, gratitude, I think we think of gratitude in terms of if I focus on being grateful for something, then I'm negating what's taken place and what I've lost during the something that I'm trying to focus on gratitude in. And a pandemic, as the COVID-19 changed everything for so many people. There's so many things that we've lost this last year, that just aren't coming back. And just because COVID-19 may pass, or because we may get a vaccination that makes that able to go back to restore some normalcy to life, doesn't mean that those things that were lost are gone. And I think sometimes the reality that those things have changed and are not going to ever undo is enough to really put us into a state of depression or into a state of anxiety. And I really believe that gratitude is that life force that keeps us rolling even through the most difficult times. I look at gratitude like you would look at a diet. What you eat or the type of things that you ingest determines your overall health. And gratitude is simply one of those things that's considered your overall health for spiritual, emotional, mental. What are you ingesting? Our main ingestors are the five senses, and the most important ones of those five are what we see and what we hear. There's an old saying that says that you stay the same except for who you meet and what you read. And that's so true. It's like the things that you choose to feed your spirit with are the things that will determine your overall wellness of your emotional, physical, spiritual senses. And I believe gratitude is that byproduct of what I'm feeding myself, what I'm putting into my ears, what I'm putting into my eyes, what I'm choosing to ingest is my information setting for the day is what will strengthen or deplete my gratitude levels. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you kind of lost me at the beginning, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, we talked about that. We talked that, you can inherit gratitude. Well, gratitude comes from within, obviously, but you can also inherit gratitude and be grateful and be reminded of the things that you have um, outside of yourself. I mean, obviously, your own emotions, you control your emotions, but people also can intercede. They can be an intercessor to remind you what to be grateful for. You've got a little book there with you. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So this is something that I started doing years ago, and I've gone through about, I don't know how many of these things I've gone through, but every time I go through one, I pick up a new one, and they're really just a dollar store journal. And I call this a gratitude book. And what makes this thing so powerful for me is that going through some of the most difficult times, those things are going to happen and setbacks are going to happen. But just taking time to record in what went right. There's an old saying that says greatness is missed when greatness is gone. And I never wanted to go a day with missing something. I think what started this for me was hearing an interview with a author named Joni Eareckson Tada, who is paralyzed, who lost the use of arms and legs. And she was able to paint with a paintbrush in her teeth, and she could paint these canvases, and people would take those canvases and turn them into cards. And she would speak and she would write and she would talk and inspire millions of people. I remember during an interview, someone asked her, this is years ago, they said, well, if you could have your mobility back, what would you choose, mobility or all the great things you've done since you've been disabled? And her response was awesome. She said, well, I would choose mobility in a heartbeat. She said, but since I'm not getting the use of my body back today, since that's not happening today I choose to paint. And today I choose to inspire millions of people. And it was this idea that take 5 minutes. When I get to work, I take 5 minutes and just record for just like I said, 5 minutes and just record what went right. What am I grateful for today? And at night before I go to bed, I take 5 minutes and record what went right today. What am I grateful for today? And what happened that caused me to feel gratitude. And it's just that eating that carrots, that's eating that, developing an appetite for things that are strengthening, those little tiny habits that strengthen your overall health, to where you can go through a setback in the day. And yes, it's going to be a difficult thing. And yes, it may throw your world into chaos, but you're so built up and you're so focused, and those gratitude muscles are so worked out that you're ready to face whatever you have with I'm looking for the positive in this, I'm looking for the win in this, instead of I'm choosing to focus on the negative and how my life is not going to be the same. Just give you an example. The other day, got up for work and I was taking my stepdaughter to school, and we ran out to start the van and getting her in and getting ready to go, and we turned the key and nothing, click 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 click, and we are parked right behind my wife's van, which is parked right in front of the fence, which we're on the other side of our cars is lined up the neighbor's cars. There's no way for me to get that van to jump my van to get her to school and to get me to work on time. And immediately it was just like this, this is not what I wanted to do today. And so I ran in, had to maneuver the back gate, open it up and pull her van in the backyard and do this Born Identity spin with the van to get it back to face the other van and to jumpstart it and to get it going. And yes, she was late to school. Yes, I was late to work. But honestly, it wasn't the focus wasn't there. What my focus was, let me just read you what my focus was. Okay. If I can just read for just a quick second here.
Sure.
Today, I'm grateful for being able to wake up in a bed. I woke up in a bed that day. The psalmist David said, when I wake up before I get up, help me to look up. In other words, help me to acknowledge something other than myself today. And there's such power in that little ritual. But today I'm grateful to be able to wake up in a bed. Like I wasn't waking up in a street. I wasn't waking up in a shed. I wasn't waking up in a gutter somewhere. Like I was waking up in a bed with clean blankets, a warm spouse. I mean, there's so many people who do not have someone in their life. And I have somebody. And I'm very grateful for that. And to be able to take the time just to soak that in the morning. I had a bed that was soft. I had a room that was climate controlled in a house that's perfectly suited for our needs. It's not a perfect house. There's always something. The honeydew list never ends, but it's perfectly suited for our needs for our family. Being able to look around my room and have the full use of my vision. And that was something that morning when I got to work. I wasn't focused on a battery. Hey, I got up this morning. I was able to use my eyes today. I was able to move my hands and feet unassisted today. Like that's so much to be grateful for, that the battery is there. It didn't change. Yes, it was a setback, but it wasn't the consuming factor. I didn't come into work griping and angry about my battery that day. I didn't drive to school with my daughter in the van and just ranting and raving about an old car, broke down old car. It's like man, we're gonna get there. We got it. We got this. Okay.
Yeah.
I was able to sit, stand, move unassisted for having children to wake up and then re-wake up instead of complaining that I gotta keep waking you up and you're gonna get yourself up. No, I get a chance to wake them up. Like there's a lot of people that their kids are grown and they're gone from the house. There's people that weren't able to have children for one reason or another, or there's people who have lost children that would give anything to be in a position where I can wake my kid up and re-wake them up and make sure they're up for school. I mean, that's something I don't take for granted at one moment, but it sets the tone for what I'm focused on that day and where my energy is going that day. And there's power in that. Hot water to shower with, clothes to wear, the chance to reconnect with my children, coffee, man, that's what the exclamation. Well, I'm thankful for a cup of coffee today, and how much that just changed the day, and how much that just knowing that I had that morning was awesome. That's not a right that I have. It's a privilege. I was able to have a cup of coffee that day, for having a vehicle that starts and can get from A to B, a job to go to. Instead of complaining about what I don't like about my job or who I don't like at my job or how they call, man, I have a job to go to. And every day I have a chance to do something here that makes a difference, that impacts the overall wellness and safety of the people that I work with, so that we all get to go home at the end of the day to our families. That is an awesome thing to start your day with. And then you end it, of course, the same way. But man, it's those little tiny habits that set the tone. And I know you got things too. We talk about things that bring you joy or things that you look at. Yes, pandemic has taken away things we won't get back, loved ones that aren't coming back. But where are we putting our energy and where are we putting our focus instead of what we lost is what we have right now in front of us. And I think there's power in counting your blessings and looking at the things that you have right now in front of you. And what am I looking at today? And what can I do with what I have today?
Yeah, yeah, you're a pretty hard act to follow. I have a visual aid with me also too. We talked about gratitude, and you can be grateful for how someone makes you feel, how someone says something to you to change your day or improve your day, or a gift. I'm a big gift giver. I like to give gifts that are personalized and they match a person's personality. Well, I get that from my parents. I'm very grateful for my parents. And let me tell you a story from a long time ago, not like 1978. Okay. Um, this is
Zero
my
was born.
visual aid here. Do you see this? This is this is Merlin, the electronic wizard. Let me hold him so he doesn't disappear in the background. This is his actual box. This is my Merlin from 1978. Let me take him out of the box over here so you can see what he looks like. Okay, so yeah, it's like a Miami Vice looking cell phone, right? But um, he's an electronic toy from 1978. But the story behind Merlin is he was on my Sears catalog wish list. I really wanted Merlin bad. Aside from Evil Knievel's Super Jump Cycle and GI Joe with the Kung Fu grip and everything else that I circled that year in the Sears wish book, but I really wanted Merlin, and nobody had Merlin. Um, so my dad made it a point to befriend any place in town that sold toys that year, and he was a mainstay at every place that sold toys, and he went to Western Auto almost daily to check their inventory. Do you have a Merlin in? Do you? So I guess they got tired of seeing him in there every day, and it's like approaching Christmas. And they're like, "Hey, Jim, come here. We've got one. Someone didn't pick it up on layaway. It's an unclaimed layaway, but it's available for purchase." So that's where this Merlin, that's where
Wow.
Merlin, the electronic wizard, came from. Western Auto in Gulfport, unclaimed layaway. But um, the story I'm getting at, why I'm grateful, is that my parents loved me that much to be that persistent to show their love to me for something that they knew that I wanted. They
Hmm.
probably don't think that I have it, you know 40 years later, but yeah, I do. And I have most of my childhood toys because they were given to me from my parents, and they were given to me out of love and care, just to show how much they love me and how grateful they are that I was born, that I'm their son. And you know a hallmark moment. We can go on and on and on and on. But you know, yeah, Merlin, he takes 6 AA batteries, or a a plug-in, that is probably can't find anymore. But you miss the point of it if you think, well, he doesn't work anymore. Well, but he did work in 1978, and he was very well loved and cared for, and he's still cared for this day. And I'm very grateful for the length and the width and the depth of someone's love that they would go to for me to be able to provide that for me. Um, but gratitude starts with noticing the goodness in life, and that's everything. That's how you interact with people, how they interact with you, um, how you treat yourself, how you treat other people. And just like you mentioned in your story, you can be uber focused on a dead battery, or you could reframe that situation and look at it a different way. We probably need to wrap up here pretty soon. But anyway, I think that's probably a good idea for people to just, you know, hardly anybody has, paper and pen anymore, but everybody has a cell phone. So
Well,
maybe
we
each,
all have ways to
yeah,
record those thoughts,
that's
right? We
right.
all we all have ways to put those down, whether it's a phone or a journal. I recommend, and you're right, being uber focused on the negative, I would have missed the opportunity of talking with my daughter about school, about some other things, because I was so focused on that. But that's an opportunity that's gone, that is not coming back. So gratitude does help you look for the opportunities and develop an eye for those moments while you have them, instead of looking back saying, I should have taken that chance. So I want to challenge people. And that toy is awesome, by the way. The fact that you have that is a constant reminder of your parents' love, and that just stirs up gratitude long after they'll be with you. You have that, and that's awesome to me. But I would challenge people watching this to take some time and start a gratitude journal of your own. Start training your body to ingest the goodness that you have in your life now. Because when you start to actually develop your eye to see it, Andy Warhol said, they asked him, what's the secret behind your paintings and your vibrancy? He said, I take time to notice the flowers. Like, I take the time to train my eyes to notice what people pass by in front of a hospital without watching. But it's notices. I want to challenge people watching this to start a gratitude journal of your own. And then the other thing is, the other part of that, James, not just ingesting the good, but also learning what to filter out that's not good. If certain types of music, if you listen to them that make you feel a certain way, man, pay attention to how you feel when you hear talk radio, when you hear certain songs, pay attention when you watch certain movies. How does that make you feel? How does it make your spirit feel? Because if it's something that causes you to be angry, I stopped listening to talk radio about 7 years ago, and it was the best decision of my life, because I would get home after driving 30 minutes, listening to all the stuff I couldn't change and everyone's opinion, how angry they were. I would come home, want to kick the cat, ground the dog, and it wasn't healthy for me. But I noticed a different change when I stopped ingesting stuff that was
Mhm.
not good for my spirit. Like, when I started ingesting the stuff that was the best thing for me, the healthier outlook on life took place. And to go through some really difficult days and not be angry and bitter and want to, hate everybody. So I think there's power in that. So I want to challenge everyone watching this: start a gratitude journal, and then pay attention to what you're ingesting through the eye gate and the ear gate. How is it affecting you as a person and your
Mhm.
personality and your relationship with others around you?
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap up, or people are going to leave for popcorn here in a second, but an intermission. But yeah, if I could leave one thing with everyone, it is, if we're focused on everything negative during the pandemic, then we're not moving forward. We're just
Sure.
sedentary. We've got to find our anchor. Otherwise our boat gets rocked all over the ocean. So once you find your anchor and find the things to be thankful and grateful for, then it'll help you cope with some of the other things. So mom and dad, thanks very much for Merlin. I thought you probably thought you'd never see this guy again, but yeah, he's here. I brought him back to life, and thank you. I love you both very much for taking the time back in 1978 and driving that guy at Western Auto crazy to get that Merlin. But
That's 42
anyway,
years old, by the way, James. That toy is 42 years old. I was made the same year that Merlin was. Look just as good.
well, his batteries are worn out a long time ago. Hopefully
Mine
yours
are too.
just keep on going, Energizer. Yeah, with he takes 6 batteries, but you have 8 kids, so
That's it.
there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Daniel, for being on Wellness Wednesday today. Hopefully, we were able to reframe the situation for people, as psychologists call it, to reframe it, to look at a situation with fresh eyes, a fresh perspective, a different way of looking at things, and don't focus on the negative, and be thankful for the positive. And if you haven't started yet, if you haven't started during the middle of this video, right after this video, start on your gratitude journal to change your life. And Daniel, thank you for being on Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks, James.